Yo, what's up, guys? It's Keenan Joseph Compon. It's currently 8:09 a.m., Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. It's actually my 23rd birthday today, so just turning 23. And this morning, got up at 4:25 a.m. I've been doing that. I've been getting up in the fours for about 2.5 years now. So I got up, I did my light therapy. I didn't even read or journal or anything like that this morning. I kind of just sat there. The light hit my eyes. Had a cup of coffee, hit legs at the gym, and now I'm here. And I used to. I'm just always in my element when I'm in my own sort of internal, bubble, like my own positive feedback loop where I'm just thinking of self improvement. I'm thinking about improving myself. And I absolutely, I only feel any amount of joy or fulfillment when I actually know that I did something that was truly difficult, or I actually moved the needle in some area. Like, I used to always go to bed or be in the shower, like when I wasn't occupied with something, or when I wasn't drowning out my thoughts with some bullshit like, I don't know, music or YouTube, short form media. Whenever I wasn't just drowning out my thoughts, and I had to sort of sit with them, I just feel like a knot in my stomach, like the discrepancy between where I was and where I knew my actions would lead me and where I wanted to be in life. And knowing that I moved the needle in the opposite direction, where I would binge eat. I knew I wasn't training with intensity. I knew I was eating more than I should. I knew I wasn't working on something I actually wanted to be doing. But now I get to go to bed knowing that I actually move the needle, in every facet of where I really want to be. I'm moving in that direction. And I picture it so vividly and so often, and I see it so lucidly. Like, I don't know how long it'll take, and honestly, I don't really give a shit because I know I'm gonna get there eventually. When I was walking to the gym, I kind of just looked around because I was passing through the central building at my university here, and I just looked around and I felt like I was a time traveler, and I transported back to this moment in my life to relive what I looked like on the come up and what it was like on the come up. That's what it felt like. And I truly want it all. And I know, sometimes I wake up negative. Sometimes I get too immersed in something that doesn't matter. And it's so easy to do that when I'm, doing my schoolwork here. Because to me, when I'm doing the schoolwork, it's nothing I really want to be doing with my life. I feel like I'm a raven or a crow. Like, when they give a bird or an octopus a bottle that's closed that has some seeds in it, or like a fish, and they have to open it. Like, that's what it feels like to be doing this shit. You know what I mean? But I understand that how I do anything is how I do everything. And that even though all the brush strokes may be going in, crazy different directions, I know the end piece will be something that I'm proud of, and I'm here to document that. Like, I know that I can relate with more people and serve others, and it forced me to push myself. It exposed so many weaknesses in my character to be here when I'm left to my own devices. And I'm surrounded by, people who are more negative. You probably feel that too if you're around coworkers, maybe your family members, maybe like me if you're in university. There's so many people who will just criticize you and be negative. I mean, even dumb examples like your family thinking creatine is steroids, being criticized for every little thing you do, and having no one that, like, you feel like truly understands what you're doing. And don't get me wrong, I love everyone. I don't think I'm of more value than anyone else. It's just for where I'm going, it takes so much that I have to sort of create my own internal loop, and my mind's just racing with thoughts every day. That's a huge reason I want to make content here. I want to build a community. I want to inspire others, but also just I want to let my thoughts out, and share them with people, and have people that it resonates with find it, and and derive some sort of value from it and use it to improve themselves. And I don't know how long it'll take, but I don't know how many people are even going to watch this video. But I know that so long as I'm just persistent, so long as I just keep putting in the work every day, I know I'll get to where I want to be. Like, it doesn't matter if it's my birthday. It doesn't matter if I'm in school. Like, I used to always think like, oh, I can't start posting content because I got too much schoolwork. What would I even talk about? Like, I'm doing too much schoolwork. I'm getting in the gym. I'm doing all these things. I'm too busy to make content. It's like, what would I even make content about? Like, I can't make, I can't talk about nothing, you know? All these things, everything in your life is just a vessel for your self improvement. The businesses that you start, the education that you do, the way you have your family, like all these things are just vessel for your self improvement. And when you start to truly internalize that, you start to realize that everything is just an opportunity for growth in some way. Most people transmute everything through the lens of what can go wrong. Like, why shouldn't I do this? And, a huge part of that has to do with conformity. Most people give up on what they really want to be doing. I cope myself before into thinking, oh, I have a job that pays well. I'm in university. Everything's not that bad. But I knew deep down that I wanted to be doing so much more with my life. And when you stop like passing everything through this negative lens of what do I stand to lose, and you start focusing on what you can gain, that's when you start putting in the work like consistently and you actually get results. I used to think I would never develop a physique I'd be proud of because my genetics weren't good enough. So I didn't train that seriously, so I didn't really focus too much on my diet, so I got a physique that I wasn't proud of. A really good example I like, is cold calling. Cold calling, I did it for a bit. It sucked. Like, in my opinion, it was really hard. It was really difficult for me. I found it, it took a lot of personal development to actually, make those cold calls. But if I asked you right now, make a cold call, pick up your phone, call a business, and sell them on something. Most people hearing that, their mind immediately goes to, oh, he's probably not talking about me, or, what would I even sell them? What business it's like, are they even open? It's even if they're valid, so many people have conformed so much that they just instantly focus on the negative. It's like you haven't even moved an inch and you're already thinking of failing. Like, why? I was noticing this like consciously, that I was looking for why they wouldn't need my service. Man, and if you think about back to when you were a kid, you would probably just think like, what can I do for them? Can I mow their lawn? Can I just talk to them about the business? Can I get a job there? Maybe I want to start a business like they do, so maybe I can just learn more about the business. There's so many things that could go right. And if everything went wrong, you're just where you would be if you never tried. For most people, if you tried, if you really pushed yourself in what you wanted to be doing, would you get kicked out of your apartment? Would you get kicked out of your house, wherever you live? Would you get kicked out and have nowhere to fall back on? Probably not. Probably not. It's just we get in our own heads because we think we have to justify ourselves to others. We think that because, like, when someone criticizes you, they're just saying that you live your life in a way that is not preferable to them. And the way that's preferable for most people is in a way that justifies themselves, justifies their own action, which is usually when either people try and fail or they never try at all. That's what justifies people's inaction, because they say, look at that guy, he tried and failed, therefore I'm on the right path because I never tried at all. Transmute everything take everything for what it is, and pass everything through the lens of how can I improve? How can I be better? Okay? That's just what I was thinking about this morning, on my 23rd birthday. It's just I just do want it all. Like I just want to serve other people through content. It's hard to explain. And I think most people are like that. I hope most people are like that. And one last thing I just want to say here is if you're in that position where you may have some progress, you may think you're doing all right, but deep down you're really not taking this whole thing too seriously. You're spending too much time doing some bullshit. Maybe you're jerking off still. Like, deep down you should be doing more. You should be self-improving more. Just recognize that as like you have been blessed with the burden of having such a high level of ambition that you feel anxious because you're not doing enough. Like it is really a blessing that you have been blessed with a higher calling. And that's the only reason you feel anxious. A lot of people just go to bed, just don't even think twice. All right? All right, that's it for this video. I hope someone got some value from this. Feel free to like, subscribe. My Instagram's in the description. And as always, more than anything, get active. The most painful position to be in is to live in a state of inaction. If your mind's racing, you're thinking of all this stuff, but you're not taking action, that is the worst position to be in, okay? Get active.